Hi, and welcome to Faith and Week's Private Tutoring. I'm Ms. Dassel, and today we're going to do our advanced elements of a story, right? Now, if you look at the beginner, that's, it's the same thing, but we're going to go a little more in depth because for the advanced, aka standard 4s and 5s or grades 4 and 5, for narrative writing, you're going to have to do at least 5 paragraphs, right? So we need to know what those 5 paragraphs are made up of. So let's get into it. So first we're going to do a brief overview of the 5 elements that every story must have. And then we're going to go deeper into the plot because they also have 5 elements that you must have. So let's go. All right, so here we have a nice little graphic that describes the 5 story elements. So as you know, every story, regardless of the length, must have these 5 elements. So in your introduction or your first paragraph, you're going to have the first 2 elements, which are the settings and the characters. For our advanced writers, we're also going to include the hook, right? Look out for that separate video on what the hook is about. Right, so we also have the hook, right? That's the first line of your essay that grabs the reader's attention, aka like a hook. So we call it the hook. Then we have the plot. Now the plot is made up of the introduction, the body of the story, and the ending or the conclusion of the story. So your story must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Then we have our problem, which is usually found in the 3rd paragraph or the climax, right? So the problem, something goes wrong. This is where the excitement usually happens, right? The story turns for the worst, right? So now we have to figure out, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? What went wrong? How did it go wrong? Why did it go wrong? Right? So what's going to happen with your characters? And then we have the solution, which usually comes in the ending, and that's where the problem is solved. Everything is okay, the characters kumbaya, and we have a happy ending, right? Or maybe not, we could have a surprise twist, you never know, right? So these are the basic 5 elements. So now we're gonna look at the plot, which is how you're going to expand your essay into 5 paragraphs. So 5 is a very important number. 5 story elements, 5 elements in the plot, 5 paragraphs. So let's head into it. Right, so here we have something called the plot mounted. Now this is a graphic you're going to see in many different ways and many different forms, but always it's going to have a upside down triangle, right? Or a regular triangle. The highest point, you're always going to have a highest point. So your story is basically made up of the introduction, the rise in action, the climax, the fall in action, and the resolution, right? And this is how your 5 paragraphs are broken up. So paragraph number 1, paragraph number 2, paragraph number 3, paragraph number 4, paragraph number 5. Right, so as we go deeper into our series on creative writing, especially narrative writing, right, we're gonna go in depth about what each paragraph is made up of. So today we're just gonna do a general idea of what's expected and what are the elements within the plot of a story. All right, so within our story elements, we had our 3rd element, which was the plot. And the plot is made up of introduction, the body, and the ending. Now, here we have our plot mountain. And as you can see, we're also going to break this down even further. So in your introduction, you're going to put 2 elements, from your story elements. You're going to have your setting is going to be in here, right? Which is when and where and the weather. So when and where the story happens, and also include the weather, right? Just to build up that description. And also we have our characters, right? So we know that characters do things, they feel things, and they say things. So you're going to have dialogue, direct speech. You're going to describe. So you're going to have action words. You're also going to have some sensory words, so describing their emotions, things that they feel, taste, touch, and so on. Right? So our second paragraph includes the rise in action. Right? So this is going to be part of your body. So we have introduction. All of this, let me see if I can make a nice big box here. Let me use a box. Right. So this, your rise in action, your climax, and your fall in action is going to be part of the body of your story. Right? The climax is also where your problem occurs, right? Not all the time, but it usually builds up to a head, right? So your rise in action could, your problem could also start with your rise in action, right? So you can start with one problem, and then a problem snowballs into another problem, into another problem, into the biggest problem of all, right? So this is where the rise in action comes in. And then you have your fall in action. So yeah, as you can see, you've reached the peak, right? The big explosion, the big shebang, all the excitement, all the drama, all the bacchanal. And then you start to fizzle out, right? So the fall in action is where the problem starts to get solved, right? You're all coming together to conquer or slay the dragon or whatever is your prompt. And then we have our third part of the plot, which is the resolution, the solution, or the ending. So this is where your end comes in, right? So this is the third part of the plot. So you have three parts there: introduction, body, and ending. So of course, the story must end, tapers off. We figure out what happens to the characters in the story, what happens to the villain in the story, and we have a happy ending or not so happy ending or surprise twist or moral. And definitely we need to know what was the moral of the story, whether the characters live, right? So there we have it, right? The simple, the elements of a narrative story for the advanced writers, right? So as we go along with this series, we're going to go in depth on different parts of the plot, different parts of the story, what examiners are looking for, different adjectives, and how we can write our essays. So make sure you like and subscribe, turn on your notifications for any new videos, and make sure to share the videos to your friends and your classmates who might need a little extra help, and and if you'll find this helpful as well. All right, so have a great day and make sure to stay tuned for upcoming videos. Bye for now.